Today's Love and Learn topic is on phobias. And I know that seems a little interesting and maybe a little out of character for what I do. And the reality is it's not. Because if you have gone to my website anytime lately, soulstirmagic.com, you will see on my new services and offerings that I will do phobia release. And that is a technique that I have learned, I'm certified and trained in. It's part of neurolinguistic programming and also hypnotherapy. And it is really, really, really an awesome tool. And it is just an amazing concept. And let me explain to you, just give you a story. I have always had claustrophobia. It was really pretty severe for me. And when the pandemic happened and we had to start wearing masks, it was really tough. I had a very, very, very difficult time putting the mask on. And it wasn't because of the pandemic and the COVID and all of that and the fear of the unknown. I mean, all of that was going on, of course, with all of us at that time, but it was putting that mask on my face and had claustrophobia. Now, I do know because I'm me and because of I know how many past lives I've had. Well, I think I know. I'm sure there's more than what I know. I know that from past lives that phobia actually came in with me in as part of a soul imprint, part of that from a past life that came in. And I came in having this claustrophobia. And I just didn't know that there was anything I could do about it. And I really had looked into it a little bit. And in the time that I looked into it, the traditional treatment for claustrophobia is to go to a psychologist, to go to a therapist. And traditional cognitive behavioral therapy is what is used a lot. And it's a desensitizing technique in CBT where you are gradually exposed to your fear and your phobia so that the fear will lessen over it. Oh, forgive me. Please forgive me. I forgot to turn off my do not disturb. I have it now. Okay. And so that's what it is. And it's starting to slowly desensitize to you. And every time you're slowly desensitized it, from my training, my thing now is that you are constantly being reintroduced to the trauma of it, right? And depending on the severity of your phobia and how it came about, it is trauma. That's really a lot of what is created from it. So I had decided I really didn't want to go down that route. I just did not, when I checked in with myself, it didn't feel right to expose myself to it again and again. Even if it was just little bits of it, that wasn't what I wanted to do. And I just lived with it. And during what I ended up doing is I ended up doing deep breathing. I put the mask on. I just kind of do some deep breathing. I take the mask off. I do deep breathing. And I guess I did intuitively desensitize myself to it now that I think about it as I'm processing out loud. And I did do that. And I did a lot of deep breathing. I did a lot of meditative stuff. And I also made sure that when I had to go run my errands, that I didn't run as many as I normally would because of the mask. And when I got in the car, I immediately took it off. So it was in between those things. And one of the things that happened is when I did my neurolinguistic programming certification and the master practitioner part, and we learned the phobia release, it was pretty amazing because during our time there working, where we take turns, one person's a practitioner, one is the client. When I was the client, I had the practitioner release my claustrophobia. And it happened. It did. So in, this lifelong fear that I've had, even lifetimes fear that I have had of that, in less than 10 minutes, my claustrophobia released. And I don't have it anymore. I can wear a mask. I still don't prefer to wear them. They're not that comfortable for me. It's not something I enjoy. And I no longer have that sensitivity to it. So I just want you to know that I have personally done this technique on me on a major phobia, and it worked. Okay. It is released. It is gone for all intents and purposes. It's gone. Okay. What are phobias and how do you know that it's a phobia? When I was looking up just some information to try to find you guys some statistics on this, I was on the Johns Hopkins medical site. And one of the things the site said as an expert site is that 19 million people have some form of phobia. Now, they didn't say whether that was 19 million people global, US, whatever, but they just said 19. It's estimated that 19 million people have a phobia of some sorts. And again, on that website, it recommends cognitive behavioral therapy, breathing, deep breathing treatments is what it does. It does not mention NLP, which I think is fascinating because maybe Johns Hopkins University and Medical Center doesn't even know that NLP can actually release a phobia like that, which I think is interesting. And what a phobia, when you know that you have it, it is an irrational fear. It's irrational. You can't control it. It comes from your unconscious mind. It is unconscious behaviors that we are running that comes from either a trauma that happened or, just a bad experience. So a really, really negative experience that gave your nervous system a real big shock of negative emotions, right? Fear, all of those things, mostly fear is what the phobia is. And so one of the things that happens is, because it's an irrational fear, your thinking mind, your conscious mind can say, if there's like, let's say a fear of spiders, there's a little bitty spider. It's a little teeny tiny thing. And the unconscious mind can be like, can completely freak out, start to hyperventilate. Your physiology starts to have, you start to have anxiety, you can't breathe, those kind of things. That is how you know that it's a phobia, because it is a response that is bigger and out of proportion to what is going on. Okay. Common phobias that there are: claustrophobia, agoraphobia, which can be a very debilitating phobia. People who cannot go outside, they have to stay inside their home. There is, there's phobias, there's social phobias. Those can be difficult for people. There's one of the biggest phobias, honestly, you guys, is the fear of public speaking. That is a major fear for a lot of people. They've actually said that people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of dying. So, fear of the dentist and dental work goes up there quite a bit. Spiders, snakes, a lot, elevators, fear of heights, right? These are all fears that we have as human beings. And as people talk, people are pretty open. People, when I've had experiences, people are like, oh yeah, we'll be talking in a group and something will come up and people are like, oh yeah, I have a fear of heights. I have a fear of water. I have this. And then, somebody will say, well, do you know why you have that? And it's like, oh yeah, when I was 4 years old, I was swimming in the swimming pool and my older brother almost drowned me. And ever since then, I've been afraid of drowning. I've been afraid of water, So people are very open about their phobias. And, it's interesting because what I've seen when I've talked to people about phobias is there doesn't seem to be a lot of shame and guilt over phobias. It's more like yeah, isn't that weird? Like, it is what it is, and that's weird. And then most people, we just kind of make a joke about it, and then we don't realize that we can release it. So, so that's what's exciting for me, is for you to understand that I have the tools and I have the experience and I have seen the ability, including myself and other people, to take a phobia and, in less than, it takes anywhere from, well, it's anywhere between a 40-minute and an hour session, depending on what the phobia is, how quickly you need to release it. I can't really put a time limit on it and say it's going to take 10 minutes or an hour. All I can say is it's a release of it. And it's pretty freaking cool right now to just understand that you do not have to live with a phobia. You don't have to suffer with it. Okay. So that's really what I just wanted to talk to you about today. You can do more information you can Google phobias, you can find out about it. If you guys want to participate with me today, I would love for it. I would love for you to put anything down there. Do you have any irrational fears of anything? Is there anything in your life that has come up that you are just like, I can't do it. I don't do it. I've mentioned spiders. I don't have a fear of spiders. Now, here's the difference, right? This is why I know I don't have a phobia. I don't have a fear of spiders. I live in the woods. Spiders are all around me. They are just part of it. Spiders are just as much as my elk and my deer and my javelina and my skunks and everything else. They are just nature's creatures, and they live in the same habitat that I live in. Now, if a spider were to crawl all over me, do you think I would get the heebie-jeebies? I'd probably be like, ugh, it's like, they're fine outside. I allow them to have their habitat, and I'm not going to pick one up and watch it crawl over my fingers like my daughter does with ladybugs or caterpillars. My daughter loves having fuzzy caterpillars go over her hands and crawl over her hands. She just thinks it's the cutest thing in the world. I don't even want to pick up fuzzy caterpillars. Okay. And it's not a phobia for me because you can see, you can tell by my physiology, by the way I'm showing up for you and the way I'm in front of you, you can tell that that just doesn't bother me. Okay. Now, my friend Beth, I don't know if she's on here today. Sometimes she's able to come on to Magic Mondays. My friend Beth, I met her at NLP, so she has the same trainings that I do. And she met a man, a big burly construction worker type of man in Home Depot, and there was a little bitty spider, and he had an irrational fear of spiders. And she kicked out right there in Home Depot. She kicked out his phobia, which was pretty awesome and pretty great. So, I didn't get permission from Beth to share this story. So hopefully, Beth, it's okay with you that I shared this story. And if not, I'll do Ho'oponopono with you. Okay. Okay. So that's awesome. So does anybody have any questions about phobias? Is anybody brave enough to drop in the chat what you might have a phobia with? Not that I'm going to come on and, I'm not going to do an ambulance chaser or come after you and be like, hey, I can get rid of that for you. I just am curious. I'd like to have more participation today. And, I'd like to have a conversation with you guys. So if you have any phobias, you have anything, or you have any questions, please drop them in the chat because I would love to talk to you about it. And that's really my love and learn topic today. It's not a big one. Again, I didn't want to choose anything big or really esoteric because of my own energy levels and the fact that I just needed to keep my energy a little bit more tucked in. Okay. Okay, well, I'm getting the hearts on there, so I guess I don't have any questions. Apparently, you guys have no phobias, so that's perfectly fine. If you know anybody, if you have any friends or family or anybody out there who has a major, phobia, elevators, fear of flying, spiders, snakes, cat allergies, believe it or not, we can release cat allergies or, release a lot of the symptoms from it. So that can happen. Okay, Deborah says heights. Good. Thank you, Deborah, for participating. I appreciate you being brave and putting that out there. Okay. Yeah, so if you don't have any phobias, that's fine. If you know anybody with phobias, just keep it in the back of your mind and let people know, hey, I have a friend of mine who can do that. Kelly says scary movies. Kelly, here's something really funny. Here's a little story for you guys that you might like, which is that when I was doing my training and I was there, I knew that I had the phobia of claustrophobia and I knew I needed to get rid of that. And then I was also going through my brain trying to figure out what any other phobias I had. And I actually raised my hand and I asked Dr. Matt, that's Dr. Matt, he's our mentor and who we're learning from. And I asked him and I said, hey, can it be a real phobia or a not real phobia, or does it have to be a real phobia? And Dr. Matt, in his, way he's so wonderful, you guys, such an amazing, wonderful human being. He was like, and he goes, well, all phobias are real, Jen. He's like, what is your phobia? And I said, I'm afraid of zombies. And he goes, zombies? And I said, yes, I have a big fear of zombies. I can't watch scary movies. I don't like horror movies and I can't watch scary movies. And so typical NLP fashion, he said, well, how is that a problem for you? Because there's no need to release it if it's not a problem. Okay. So you can have a phobia and not have it be a problem. Hopefully you can understand that, okay? Because for me, not seeing scary movies is no big deal. Do I really need to fix something if it really isn't broken, is kind of what he was saying. And I said to him, it's a problem because my son and my daughter love, what is that, Walking Dead. My son and my daughter love Walking Dead, and they really, really are like, Mom, you have to see Walking Dead. It's the coolest thing in the world, Walking Dead. And I tried to watch it and I couldn't, I watched 5 minutes of it and I had to turn around and walk away. Like I just couldn't do it. And so the kids were teasing me and it was a problem because they actually really wanted me to experience that with them. And because of my phobia of zombies, I wasn't able to experience with them. Now, I have to tell you, it really isn't a problem for me. I really don't want to be desensitized to zombies and scary movies. So I didn't do an NLP technique on that one. So Kelly, I'm with you. I still have a fear of zombies. All good. If at some point I need to get rid of them, I will. So thank you for participating, Kelly, and letting me just give that little bit of a story. So, okay. Kate says, I'm afraid of people watching me related to agoraphobia. That's interesting, Kate. We'll have to Google that. Wonder what that is, afraid of people watching you. So we'll have to see what kind of phobia that is. That's interesting. And then Kelly says, right now, not a problem because I can walk away, but still a big fear and have to not participate. I hear you, Kel. I hear. And if you ever want to get rid of that, just give me a call and we'll knock it out. Okay. Okay, you guys, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move along. I'm going to do some card pulls for you. It's only 11:31 right now. My intention really is at this moment, as I just checked in with my body, myself, my four bodies, my spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. My physical body is very much telling me that it would be nice to just rest a little bit today. So after Magic Mondays, I'm going to just kind of take it easy and I'm going to cut it short today. Okay. Please forgive me for that. And I know you understand. And hopefully, I am modeling to each of you guys how wonderful it is to listen to your own body. And even if your mind says, no, you got to be productive, you got to do this, you got to do that. If your body's saying you need to relax, please model me on this, because this is something that I am much better at and I'm good at now. And I used to not be very good at it all. I would push myself until I pushed myself to the point that I would get sick. And then once I got sick, I would actually have to stop down. And now I don't push myself to the extreme of getting sick anymore because I listen to the signs of my body.